Questions have been asked. It's time for answers. Oh yeah, and also, we're gonna trim my beard today. Pixeler wants to know, how long does it take me to grow my beard to this length? And well, before I give you an answer, let me tell you a little bit of a backstory about why my hair and beard are in such a ridiculous state. I used to work in finance, and when I did, this is when I was right out of college, when I did, they were very strict about how you had to look a particular way. And obviously that way was clean cut and like, you know, a fresh haircut. And I wasn't a big fan of that. I don't like being told I have to look a certain way to do something. So when I left that job, I immediately began exercising my freedom or my right to grow my hair out. So I started growing a beard. I had never grown a beard. I was like, what would this be like? And I grew my hair out. I had had my hair long like once before and had to cut it for an internship. And the rest is history. I love growing my beard out and just letting it be ridiculous because I feel like it's so goofy. It just gets so goofy that it reminds me to not take myself too seriously, you know, because when I look in the mirror and I see this ridiculous beard and this hair, I can't. Who takes me seriously? It makes me laugh. And I think it does that to other people as well. It kind of diffuses the social boundary that we all have, you know. It makes me more approachable and it makes people laugh. And you know, if there was one thing I could choose to do, if there was one thing that I think is the closest to a human actually being able to have a superpower, it's the ability to make people laugh and smile. And I think that a big ridiculous beard does that, so I love it. Today we're taking it back a notch though, and I'm gonna trim my beard up because it is too hot down here. It is too hot. Probably to get to this point, it would probably take me like 6 months. Yeah, I think 6 months. Yeah, it's been a while. Let's do this. Keaton Bates and 65 others want to know what my dream mountain bike build is. I think my hesitance to answer this question has a lot to do with why I've put off doing my bike check for so long. It's just the obsession with our equipment instead of our riding. And it's just that, you know, going over my bike doesn't really excite me. I know you guys want to see it. I'm gonna do it for you. But I'm like really racking my brain on how to make it actually fun to do rather than just point at my bike and say these are the pieces that are on it, because that just doesn't seem, it's not that important to me. It's not, I don't want to put an emphasis on that. The reality is that the science and the technology behind these bikes has far surpassed most of our abilities. I do not ride my bike to its limit or full potential, and I know that. So I have tried to take more emphasis away from my equipment and put more on me and my abilities and my skills. I've seen plenty of people with $10,000 bikes that get owned by dudes riding absolute clunkers. You know, it's what it comes down to is the person. It's not about the bike. The bike is just your piece of equipment that allows you to go do these things, but it comes from you, the rider. So that I don't spoil the question totally, if I was given free reign over any bike without any worry about cost, I'd probably look into a Transition Patrol or maybe a Yeti SB5. Yeah. Coming in Bork Dorkla and 25 other ones of you guys want to know what my first mountain bike experience was like. The scenario was, I have a good friend named Tommy, and he's actually now a professional road cyclist. Lame, I know. But he had just gotten a new mountain bike, a hardtail. It was really cool, it was really light, and he had been playing around on it, and he wanted to go try mountain biking, and he invited me. And I said, heck yeah, I got a bike, let's go. So we're here in Florida, and we looked up the closest trails, and it turns out it was Alafaya River State Park, which is a really cool trail system actually about an hour north of us. So we went and checked it out, and we had no idea what we were doing. I had never ridden, I probably hadn't ridden a bike in a while, but I'm always down for an adventure, so I said sure. So we went to Alafaya, and man, did we not know what we were getting into. We thought it was Florida, you know, how bad could it be? And I remember the first trail I rode on was Moonscape, which is labeled a double black diamond there, and I thought we were going to die. I remember the feeling very, very clearly. I knew I was out of my element, and we both were wrecking all over the place. The very first downhill we went on, I remember I let him go first, and he just grabbed a handful of front brake and right over. And that was how we learned about that. That trip was my senior year in high school, and I didn't know that I was going to be mountain biking for the rest of my life at that moment. I was still very heavily into soccer at the time. I played soccer in college, and even got in trouble once when I went out riding during college, and I was still very much a beginner mountain biker, and I tore my ACL and had to tell my coach that I wasn't going to be able to play because I did this silly thing mountain biking. But the things that draw me, or initially drew me, and still to this day keep me riding, is the fact that it contains so many things that I love. I love challenging myself and improving at something. I love the sense of adventure that I get going out and exploring new mountain bike trails. And I love the community that surrounds the mountain biking scene. You know, we just have such good people that ride bikes. I don't know if it's a causation, if it's good people are gravitated towards riding bikes, or if riding bikes makes you a good person, but the sport is just surrounded by great people that I really enjoy hanging out with. And those things combined, I know that it's going to be a lifetime thing for me. I'll never stop. Harry Man and 25 others of you want to know how I keep my bikes safe when I'm traveling. And this is actually a really big deal for me, because it's not something I feel like I have super dialed. And that's one reason I still am hoping to get into a sprinter, possibly this next year or so, is because having my bikes outside of my car leaves me absolutely unnerved. I worry about them so much, and I've done everything that I can to keep them safe thus far, and it's worked, but my bikes are my life. If something were to happen to them, I don't know what I would do. So this is what I'm currently doing. It starts with the roof rack system. I keep all of the bikes up here. I have 3 Yakima roof racks. These have a built-in lock on them, this guy, but this little thing doesn't do diddly. These racks do lock to the car, this system right there. Make sure that that's locked and people can't get that off. But the real solution is about how I lock them to the car, and I'll show you guys that. These are the locks that I use to keep my bike safe on top of my car. Starting with these 2 U-locks. These guys always go through my frame and my rear tire. And I generally use those in combination with this guy, this long rope, to tie through the front tire and in the car. Now, the last piece is something I picked up this year because I was so afraid of being in, anytime I was going to be in like a more populated city, I was so scared for my enduro that I got this Kryptonite forget about it lock. And this is an absolute beast. When I have this on a bike, I'm very confident that nothing's going to get taken off my car, because this thing is just, someone would need a power tool to get this off, essentially. I think it's worth noting that one of the reasons that this system has worked for me is because I don't frequent cities. I stay away from the big cities where there's going to be a lot of crime and a larger population. I generally stay out of the way. I don't enjoy them. That's not where the trails are. That's not where I want to be. So coming in at number 1 with 109 thumbs ups is a question from all of our dear friend Brian Kennedy from over at BKXC. And he wants to know, if I had to pick one place to settle down and live and could only ride within an hour driving radius, where would I choose? And I knew he was gonna ask this because he's asked me this before and he wants to know an answer. It's such a hard question for me, and that's why I've always dodged it, because I just can't imagine settling down anywhere right now. So much of my enjoyment in life and so much of my drive comes from exploring new destinations, meeting new people, experiencing new things, and riding new trails. So the idea of staying in one place, I stayed in Salida for like 3 months. That was the longest I've stayed somewhere for a while. But staying somewhere permanently, just, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. But okay, I'm not gonna cop out on it. If you're gonna put me in a corner and I had to choose right now, it'd probably be Asheville, North Carolina. And there's a number of reasons that go into that. I have a really good friend base, a really good friend group there. The riding community is super strong, and obviously it's got a ton of riding. You know, within an hour, you've got Pisgah National Forest, you've got DuPont, you've got Bent Creek, and then you've got a lot of pump tracks. You've got like Colo Bike Park. North of town, you've got a Bailey's Mountain Bike Park, which is a new downhill park that I think is only like a year and a half old. And on top of all those things, you've got 3 of my favorite breweries. Well, three of my favorite. You have Oscar Blues in Brevard with the rebranch, so they've got both riding and drinking there. You've got Sierra Nevada just put a massive brewery in, and there are rumors that New Belgium is gonna make a brewery in Asheville. So I mean, that's huge. It's just got everything that I love all in one place. Great riding, great friends, great atmosphere. And it's, you know, it's a place that I know well. So if I had to pick right now, I'd probably say Asheville. Do I intend to do that anytime soon? Hell no. I'm gonna be on the road where I belong. That's where I feel the most at home, is no joke, when I hop in the car and start driving somewhere. Doesn't even matter where. Thanks for joining me for part 1 of the Q&A. It's gonna have to be 2 parts. You guys just had so many great questions that I want to answer that I didn't want to make an insanely long video doing them all. So Thursday will be the second part. I really am loving the fact that you guys are so interested in knowing about my life on the road and how I do that. Getting to see that was a large part of the questions you guys asked really inspired me to start sharing more of this stuff with you guys. I can't wait to get back on the road and be able to show it to you as it's happening. That's really gonna be just like, it's such a driving factor for me. I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. Y'all, I'm gonna take you guys with me every step of the way. Speaking of which, it's a new year. Happy New Year's to everyone. It's a new year, got a new fresh look. I hope everyone had a really great New Year's and is looking forward to 2017 as much as I am. I got a good feeling about it. It's gonna be one for the record books for sure. 2016 was probably my best year ever, my favorite year, and I think 2017 is gonna even surpass that. So with that, you guys know what to do. Live free, ride hard, get stoked. I'll see you Thursday for part 2. We're gonna talk about things like how I make money on the road, where do I shower, and more. I'll see you there. Sure. Hello.